hear processed food, we're like, oh, that's not good. Well, we need to get ahead in our thinking and realize that water's being processed a lot too. Tap water, processed. Bottled water, most of it, processed. Filtered water, processed. Processed, right? Does that make sense? It's not water from the ecosystem. It's water from the ecosystem at some point that's been through some kind of processing and changing, and then we end up drinking it. So let's talk a little bit about processed waters. Yo. Just make the commitment now. If you're not on a well, if the water coming out of your tap isn't from your well, if you don't live in one of the rare places like Mount Shasta where the whole town gets spring water right through their pipes with no treatment, if you don't live somewhere like that, just stop with the tap water. In fact, you don't even have to call it tap water. You can call it tap liquid. What's some of the problems with it? Well, we know there's a poison in it. There's no question that stuff's poisonous. We know it's poisonous. It's an antibiotic. Now, there's a reason we put it in there, and we put it in there because if we didn't, you would get water delivered to your tap that had organisms in it, and we would have food poisoning 3 times a week. Like what happens if you go down to Mexico as an American, you know, with our sensitive little gut tubes. We go down there, we start drinking the water. You know what happens. So we put chlorine in it, that kills off the organisms. Unfortunately, that's kind of like using antibiotics on yourself. It's kind of like using hand sanitizer. You get like an immediate benefit, but you get a long-term problem. That's that we start living in sterile environments, and the stuff we're consuming is sterile. It becomes like a medical grade water. And you know, you wouldn't want to put yourself in a pool of chlorine. You'd burn up. But over time, what you're doing is the same if you're consuming tap water, right? Or if you're showering in it. So one of the interesting things is chlorine is toxic and dangerous. It's caustic. It burns things. But what's toxic is the byproducts of trihalomethanes, which are what happens when chlorine burns up something organic. When it kills something in the water, it produces a carcinogen. Those are chloroform, bromoform. How does that sound to you, by the way, chloroform? Just not really. Maybe I don't want to drink chloroform. Or dichlorobromethane. So these are carcinogens that are the result of chlorine doing what it's there to do. And they're volatile. That means if they get warm, they go airborne. And that means that your shower can become like a gas chamber. You get in the shower, right? So you go in, you close the door. Then you get inside the shower and you draw shut that thing. You make a little chamber. Because if you don't, it's kind of cold in there. So you make a little chamber. Then you heat up chloroform till it becomes an airborne chloroform gas. And you gas yourself in chlorine. And you absorb far more through the lungs than you would from drinking it. So the amount of chlorine that ends up in your blood from one shower is about the equivalent of if you drank 8 glasses of chlorinated water. Every morning. Every morning. And all of the organisms who live on your skin, who are your external immune system, keeping you healthy from organisms that would land on you, get treated with antibiotics every morning. Oh. What do we do? Well, here's where you start. Get a shower filter. Go over. Is it Amika who has them right now? Go get one. So if you live in a place where you have municipal water, just no, it's a no-brainer. The amount of the investment, just get one. And you'll notice in 2-3 days, your skin and hair, you'll notice the difference. It's not perfect. It doesn't take everything out, but it makes a difference. Okay, so chlorine's in there for a reason, so we don't get sick initially. We don't know what it's going to do long term. We are the experiment generation. I know personally, as having been a lifeguard, that I would watch the swim team come in where I was sitting every day, and they would start the season with a red pair of Speedos, and they would end the season with a pink pair with holes all in it, because chlorine eats it. We don't know what it does to us long term. It's in there for a reason and to some degree. There's better methods. That's what we're using. The bigger issue, though, whoa. Fluoride. Hey, fluoride's good for our what? Yeah, shout it out. It's a program. Is it good for our teeth? Is it a neurotoxin? Was it first discovered in Russian prison camps that it created docile, passive populations? Was it then picked up by the eugenicists and Adolf Hitler's SS and used in their prison camps to make those populations docile as well. And then was it put into our water supply? So we're being drugged. Not every municipality, but most municipalities are drugging their people with a drug that if a doctor wanted to give to you, you would need a prescription, you would need to sign off on a waiver. It's a neurotoxin. It's just being put in your water. And who went to school and got fluoride tablets put in their mouth? Who got that? See, look around. Everybody hold your hands up if you were. If it's getting in teeth, teeth are a modified what? Bone. So if it's in the teeth, it's in the bones. Does that make sense? And what happens is fluoride stores itself up. So even if you stop drinking fluoride or using fluoride toothpaste, which you should stop using, even if you stop, there's a period of time where there's still fluoride being released into your blood every day as your body tries to detoxify it, so it sort of stays with us. By the way, best way to get it out, getting it out of your life, drinking clean water, and getting in those infrared saunas. Sweating is what takes that stuff out of your body. You need to sweat, you need to drink clean water, and wash that fluoride out, and watch you get your life back. Here's why. What's the number one target for fluoride in your body? Number one place it goes. The pineal gland. Not your teeth, not your bones. Number one target is your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is your third eye. That's why it creates docility in populations. It attaches itself to calcium in the pineal gland. You know the average adult's pineal gland is completely calcified by age 18. Here's a study about it. After half a century of the prophylactic use of fluorides in dentistry, we now know that fluoride readily accumulates in the human pineal gland. In fact, the aged pineal gland contains more fluoride than any other normal soft tissue. You just got to get off tap water, especially if you live in a place that fluoridates. If you don't know, call up your municipality, ask if they fluoridate the water. If they do, you need to be really thoughtful about that. Here's the thing, I'm not really that big into, here's why I'm not into filters. You know, who makes Brita? Clorox. We put it in, we take it out. 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 It's so sketchy. What does that even mean? You know, just go get a box. Look, if your current water strategy is using a Brita filter or a pure filter, you've made a step beyond where the average person is, and I commend you for that. And if that's where you're at, I want you to think, wow, what's the next level for me? Because if you really pick up the box and you look on the side, it says, removes the smell of chlorine. Removes the smell. We call it the water Febreze. It really doesn't do anything. Now, if you were, say, collecting well water and you wanted to filter out sand particles or something, that would be great. But don't delude yourself and think it's taking fluoride out. It's not taking fluoride out. It's not really even taking that much chlorine out. And it certainly isn't taking out the pharmaceuticals that are showing up, the 55 pharmaceuticals that are in the water supply here in LA. You know what I'm talking about? By the way, why is there pharmaceuticals in the water here? Urine. Yeah, because they recycle urine into drinking water. Just so you know. Just putting it out there. Reverse osmosis filters, also not my favorite. Here's a couple reasons. Water molecules are pressed through a very fine membrane, very fine. So fine that basically everything gets left behind and only water can get through. That's a really fine screen, right? It's pretty impressive. Water goes through that, but what happens to a water structure if you're separating all the molecules? You scramble and disassemble that whole structure so it has maybe the handprint of a good ecosystem, and it goes through. Now, what's good about that is if your water's got a really toxic memory, like it's LA tap water, and it goes through that, you can erase a lot of the memory of that by disassembling the water. But what comes out on the other end has no structure to it. And it doesn't, who's ever drank for any period of time water from a reverse osmosis filter and noticed, wow, I cannot get hydrated from this. No matter how much of this I drink, I'm not really hydrated. I'm like, I still want to eat oranges every day because I feel like I'm not getting any good water. It will keep you alive. You can certainly survive on it, and I don't want to make it like you can't. If RO is what you're using, what's great about it, when your filter's new, it probably takes out your fluoride. When your filter's a couple months old, it doesn't. What I don't like about RO is that an average RO unit that gives you 5 gallons of water wastes 40 to 90 gallons. That, you can see how that's a very wasteful way to treat water. 90 gallons for every 5 you get is washed out into the sewage system and mixed with pee and poop and then recycled back into your, it's just like not a great way. So that's not my personal strategy. What I've gotten into is spring water. I like water that comes from aquifers because I trust it. Because I know that it's thousands of years old, because I know that it's clean, because I know most of the aquifers are currently unpolluted, and I can trust it. By the way, I want you to know this. Most spring companies today do not deliver you bottled spring water. They deliver you bottled well water. Poland Spring, where I live, one of the most popular spring water in the United States, is 10 wells. Their spring is dried up. Fiji water, what's it come from? Fijian well. And it's a great water, but it's from a well. So I just want to say you probably wouldn't pay $5 for it if it said Fiji well water. See how it's different? Do you feel that? Oh, well water. Oh, geez, I'll go get my own well water. They send well water from Fiji? Voss water. That's another beautiful bottle. I like that bottle a lot. Where's that water come from? It comes from an artesian well. It's a well water. Most of them are wells, and in fact, they've lobbied to have the law changed so that if you have a well basically near a spring that used to be there, you can call it a spring water. They changed the definition. The only state that won't allow that is North Carolina, but that's only for their own water manufacturers, but they can sell any other water, so it doesn't even matter. So basically, the whole country is selling well water, calling it spring water, and we go buy these. And I know you guys know most of the waters out there, like Dasani's, and like Aquafina, that you're really buying Coke and Pepsi water, and that they're not spring water at all. They're just municipal water. It's filtered. I know you know that, but I want you to know that even if it says spring water on it, it's likely it's from a well. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about raw water. And there are some exceptions. Mountain Valley is an exception. That's an ancient, old source. It's a hot spring. What's that? Mountain Valley, the water that's been here in the green glass, Mountain Valley. That's another exception. Okay, here's the way they process spring water, though. Even if you do get a good spring water, I want you to know it's been processed. Here's how it's been processed. Ozone to kill off any organisms that are in it. So they pump ozone through the water. They use UV light, so they pump UV light through the water. That kills off, actually doesn't kill things. You know what UV light does to things? It damages the DNA so the thing can't reproduce. So all the algae in the water then have damaged DNA. Let me think. Wow, cool. Now they do that for one reason. They do that to give shelf stability to the water. So when you buy even a good spring water, it's been sterilized. It's been sterilized, and that's to keep it fresh on a shelf. Now, the water, by the way, from springs has been underground for a really long time, centuries, millennia, and it's been underground since in industry. But when it comes to the surface, it brings with it the seed of life. We're going to talk about that in a second. So I want to give you guys a mission. Please, where you live or where you travel, if you remember a spring from your childhood, if someone around you knows about a spring, if you find a spring, please go to the website, hit the submit button, and add that spring on. You can name it if you want. You can put up pictures. You can put up video. If you want to put up data like what its pH is, or what its anything you want, directions, and then it's there for other people to use.